So starting off, I'm going to be talking a bit about PowerPoint Live. Now, this is quite an underappreciated feature. We've all been inside of Microsoft Teams meetings where people are sharing their screen and they pull up PowerPoints and things like that. But very rarely do people properly use the PowerPoint Live feature, which enables people to collaborate and draw on documents and move through the PowerPoint at their own pace as well, or sync it up to what the presenter is showing them. So I'm going to be showing you that feature, but first I need a dummy document to actually show you. Now, in years gone by, whenever I'd needed a dummy document, I would just go off and manually build it myself before I did the video. But actually nowadays, in the days of Copilot, we can use Copilot to create us sample documents. And I thought you probably would be interested to see how Copilot actually goes about doing this. So I'm going to include that as part of this video. Now, if I'm in PowerPoint, I can click on the Copilot button across the top right-hand corner, and there's a few different options here. We can create a presentation from a file. So say, for example, if I had a proposal document or a product sheet or something like that, and I wanted to create a PowerPoint from that, I could do that using this option, just pull in that document and create a presentation. But actually, I just want to create something totally random. It's purely just as an example. So I'm going to click on create a presentation about, and then I'm just going to think of the most random thing possible. Honey badgers. And then that will go off and create me a presentation about honey badgers. It's going to go off and look on the internet for information on honey badgers, pictures of honey badgers, and loads of other random things. And it's going to pull that back in and make me a presentation all about honey badgers. Now, obviously, this is just a really crazy example, but I've done loads of works for companies like zoos and other animal sanctuaries and things like that. And this wouldn't be too far off some of the things that people sometimes need to use Copilot for. So there we go. It's now created me a sort of presentation, giving me a bit of information, overview, introduction, physical characteristics, their habitat, the life of a honey badger, behavior, diet, things like that. So maybe some of the imagery isn't quite right, but it's at least tied into the theme of kind of animals and safari and all that sort of stuff. So now I've got my PowerPoint ready to use in my Teams meeting. Okay, so let's jump into our Teams meeting. Now from our Teams meeting, across the very top, you'll have a share button. Now, when you click on share, you're probably quite familiar with sharing your screen. So sharing your entire screen. I've got a couple of different screens here. I've got my notes for this particular video I'm recording on one screen, and I've got my Teams meeting on the other. You could also choose just a single window if you wanted to. Now, I've actually just created this PowerPoint, but if it's been a PowerPoint that maybe had been saved for longer than 2 minutes, it would actually show up underneath the PowerPoint Live as PowerPoints that I've previously been working on. But obviously, because I've just created that, it's not going to show up on here just yet. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Browse My Computer and select the file that I've just created, which is Why You Should Fear Honey Badgers. Now, actually, as I just did a little test, I've already uploaded this, but I'm just going to click on Replace, and that's just going to replace that file. So now it's loading PowerPoint Live. So this is PowerPoint Live. As you can see, it's a different experience to just sharing your screen and getting PowerPoint on the screen, and then trying to have PowerPoint in a presenter mode at the same time as actually having your Teams meeting. It's all bundled into one, so it makes it much easier. Now, the first thing you can see is that the notes for my presentation are here, and again, really simple and easy for me to navigate through. So I can choose to increase the fonts if I wanted to, or reduce them, whatever's easier for me to actually see. I can control the slides either by clicking on individual slides, or I've got this handy little navigation options here as well to control that. I could also go into a grid view if I wanted to actually select them if there was a lot of different slides, to actually jump further ahead. There's some options here. So we can choose to hide presenter view if we just wanted to see the full slides. If you didn't want to necessarily see your notes and things like that, and you just want to see the full slide, make it easier. Some people actually choose to have a lot of their notes on the slide. It's debatable whether this is a good idea or not, to be honest, but I personally would have just a couple, and then if you wanted to have your main notes on this section, it just means that nobody else would necessarily be kind of overwhelmed by the text on the slides. Other actions, so we can magnify the slide for all, so we can choose to zoom in on the slide, and that will affect for everybody. View slides in high contrast. So this is basically just going to put this into high contrast mode, which basically just is inverting the colours. Translate slides. Now this is really cool. This is actually a fantastic feature, especially for enterprise companies which potentially are presenting to very large audiences, multilingual audiences. We can choose to change this. So if I wanted to change my presentation, I can choose to very quickly change this into French. And actually, the people viewing this as well can do the same. So they can choose to look at this in their own language as you're kind of moving along through the different slides. Now, the next thing is actually almost like the collaborational feature that I'm talking about here, which is that you can choose, well, first off, you can use like a laser pen. So if you wanted to point at something, saying, oh, this is the physical size of a honey badger, or its keen sense of smell, or whatever it is. And then also you can choose to annotate. So you can choose to draw on this if you wanted to as well, as you're going along, or maybe you're highlighting key things that you want people's attention, or you can use that eraser just to get rid of anything that you've drawn on the page. So this makes it so much more of an interactive experience. It controls the meeting inside of Teams way better than it would be just to share your screen and pull up a PowerPoint. It also means as well that you've got no chance that, say, something else could accidentally pop up on screen. So another problem that people have when they're presenting on a Teams meeting is that team notifications pop up, or an email comes in, or there's something which happens which disturbs the actual presentation. Whereas there's no chance of this because you're not actually sharing your screen, you're only sharing the PowerPoint presentation.